Hey everyone, we're going to be looking at the pentatonics still, but this time we're going to get them a little bit more jazzy. Yeah, that's what's happening. Alright, so we're now going to look at applying chromatics into the standard pentatonic forms. This takes a bit more work than maybe some of the other things that I've shown you to make it sound right, but it's cool, it's interesting, and it also gets you on your way to playing very, very different kind of stuff to get you out of that standard pentatonic shape, because essentially it's pretty much a chromatic scale. So the idea, if you're playing the blues scale, you've already got a chromatic run in there. So what we're going to do is we're using the pentatonic shapes as a shell. So on each string, just fill up all the gaps. First note and second note are here, so play chromatic. There's the blues one, then there's a 4-note on a string thing again, 4 notes, 4 notes. Now, like this, it sounds not that exciting, but one of the most important things with any playing, not just this, but any playing, it's the rhythm, it's the phrasing that you use on the instrument to give it life and give it that musicality, rather than just playing the robotic da 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 da. So, for example, if I play, I'll play a little bit. This is just, I believe it's over A minor and D. Yeah. So A minor and D. If also, actually, before I go on, you look at the chords that you're playing and in the area you're playing them in to give you other ideas. For instance, this note here, which is the minor third of the D, isn't included in this particular minor pattern. It would be in pattern 4, but I digress. So have a look at what you're playing and muck around with maybe just this or the blues scale on the A, but then when it comes to the D minor, you've got one extra note to think about. You don't have to think about it as a different scale, but you can just think, all right, use this note. So just on that, I'll have a little noodle. Anyway, so what was I talking about before? Haha, chromatics. Here we go. So the idea is you get used to playing each note, either using the blues scale or not, but you know, mix it up, do whatever you want. But getting used to this sound. But one of the main things I find is know where your root note is at first. If you already know where the root note is, learn where your minor thirds are. Then you learn where your 5th is, and then you learn where the 7th is. In this case, the minor chord, so it's a minor 7. These are the golden notes. So no matter what you're playing, noodling around, doing whatever, if you get lost or if you just want to play random crazy stuff but make it sound good, at least end on one of those notes. 99% of the time it's going to work. It's going to, well, yeah, I don't know when it wouldn't actually work. Let me know. But the idea, once again, phrasing, biggest thing. Rhythm, phrasing, whatever. So here's me noodling over the progression with the chromatic ideas. One thing you might notice is how sometimes it works better than others. And one of the reasons this can happen is that if you're hitting the nice notes, like the arpeggio notes, the notes of the chord, you're hitting them on the strong beat and you're hitting the chromatic notes on the off beat. This is something you want to try and pay attention to. So what you can do is take it simple, or make it simple. Pick one string, and for instance, on the A minor, there's my root note, there's my minor third. So I want to make sure that those, I'm going to end on those, I'm going to use those, try and think of all the ways you can get to those notes with this chromatic idea, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, fingerings 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 3, 2, 1, or I don't know, it's whatever, do whatever. Just try and make sure when you're playing along, always play along with something, because then you can hear what's going on. But do it slow enough so you can hear. So if I do this, alright. Those are cool things, like if you're doing the pattern. Doing a little repetitive thing works nicely. So yeah, the main thing, just really try and listen, use your ears, hopefully they're good enough to let you know if it sounds crap, but also recording yourself, because, and I've done this a lot of times where I'm practicing just noodling around on whatever song or whatever chord, and I'm trying to practice like more jazzy sounding stuff, and I don't consider myself a jazz guitarist really at all, but I kind of fudge my way through it. But the idea is, if your ears aren't used to hearing, making that note work on a chord, then you might just always think it sounds crap. But then, listen back to what you've recorded and you might think, oh, that actually sounds good, and relearn the phrases that you played that you liked, because that's hopefully more of you coming through rather than taking someone else's licks and just learning them, which is also a good idea. But essentially we want to, you want to play like you don't want to necessarily play like everyone else. You want to have your own identity, or maybe you don't, I don't know. Do whatever you want. So here we go. I'll have another noodle and let's see what happens. There was a cool one there. See this note? It's the major third over a minor chord, but because I'm playing it, it's more like a trill. The ear doesn't pick up on the weirdness of it. If I just sat there and went, it doesn't sound that great. But anyway, that's the idea. Using chromatics with your pentatonic scales. This applies once again to any scales you're doing. Use chromatics, just knowing what to land on. So yeah, minor third, octave, fifth, minor third, root note, root note, root note, minor third, minor third, minor third, fifth, fifth, seventh, 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 seventh. So you know where those notes are, and they're very important. So yeah, I hope that opened up some doors. Chromatics are pretty cool, and also once you get the technique to noodle around chromatically and you know where you're trying to get to, there's so many possibilities. And this also helps when you start playing other scales, because a lot of what I've just done is, you know, the more scales you learn, you realize that it's all just chromatic stuff anyway. Every note has a certain relationship with the chord that you're playing on, whether it's a relationship like this, which is kind of brutal. Even the blues note has got an interesting sound. If it's used just like this, it sounds weird. Or it supplies some tension. So a lot of this sort of music, it's tension and release. That's the way I look at jazz. And so yeah, there we go. Try it on all sorts of different chords in different keys. Don't just keep playing in this A minor. Mix it up. Get yourself a looper or record something on the computer or whatever. Just play over the top of a chord and listen to yourself soloing. Record it, listen to it again, learn it, whatever. I'm babbling now, so I'm just going to shut up and play some more stuff. If you like the video, like it, thumbs up. Share it around, whatever. Anyone that needs it, that you know, anyone you know that needs help with this, just, I'm just gonna play.